In this interview with Karena Bell, you're going to learn how to maximize your profitability to get the most out of your business every day. And enjoy the Never Been Promoted YouTube channel.
One of the entrepreneurs that we're meeting today is Karena Bell, who is the CEO and founder of Profit Lines. Karena, say hello and thank you for coming, and maybe introduce yourself just a bit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Thomas. I'm happy to be here today. And as you said, founder and CEO of Profit Lines, is an implementation firm. And we work around the globe helping organizations significantly increase their net profit. The solutions that we use are varied. However, our core service always remains the same.
How you got to founding this company, maybe your aha moment that set it off.
My previous experience was working in corporate enterprise IT, in hardware, software, system process optimization, and finance optimization and efficiencies for Fortune 500 companies. So what I was doing internally for about 30 years is something that I took when I moved into entrepreneurship. And I recognized that in the open market, those were actually solutions that were missing for many small, mid, and large organizations. Looking at, end-to-end, top to bottom, all of the different elements in a business that could literally be pulling profits out of the business.
So what was the trigger to become on the entrepreneurial side?
Oh, great question. I had always known I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just never had the courage to take the leap. And then April 1st, 2019, my entire department was eliminated. And that was the end of my corporate career. Took some time to reevaluate everything. And even said to myself, I said, you know what? I never want to do this again. The work I was doing. And what I realized was I'd gone and I ran and created a couple businesses that were wildly different. However, I lost that passion, I lost that fire, and then came back around to what I really enjoyed and what I'm good at, and found that it wasn't that I never wanted to do it again. I wanted to do it on my terms that were more serving to the client versus the organization, if that makes sense.
As you've been building your company, what's the biggest challenge you've had to overcome?
I would say the biggest challenge from the very beginning was not bringing in people sooner. And now when I mentor other business owners, I emphasize that one of your primary goals after sales, because sales should always be your priority every single day, is grow as fast as you can to create that capital that will allow you to bring in additional resources as quickly as you can. I think I see that so much where business owners are still too far into their business. I don't think a business owner never really gets out of it. I think it's unfair to say you need to be working on your business, not in your business. I think that scale tips as it needs to. But that's one thing I did myself is I carried too much too long. And I see that with others. And just moving one or two things doesn't just free up sometimes it's exponential in what it does for you and allows you to think more strategic for your business.
Where do you see your entrepreneurs and your companies you work with? What's the big goal? Is it just cash flow, or is it to find the investment to grow more, or a mix of both?
A lot of times it's a mix of both. Because most entrepreneurs that I'm working with, they're on an upward trend, or they want to go on an upward trend. And those that got them to 1, 2, 3, or 5 million are not going to be, sometimes those people are not going to be the ones that are going to get them to the next milestone, the 8, the 10 million. There may need to be a shift in talent in the business. Sometimes it might even be the owner taking a different role, not leaving, but taking a different role. And yes, the cash flow, that is key. And especially, I love working with owners that are seeking cash or capital externally in their business, where we can have the conversation and say, hang on a second, let's see what we can find internally that's hiding beneath the sheets in your business. And oftentimes we can identify a significant capital source within their business that shrinks their need to go externally, especially now where banks traditional banks are not loaning, and we have to look at other unconventional resources for our owners.
What would be an example of an unconventional or typical? Can you have a typical unconventional resource?
Well, when I say that, it's those that specialize in different types of loans. Bridge loans, collateral loans, invoice-based loans, short-term debt to ratio loans, things like that. Or if it's even bigger, because we provide that type of loan from $250,000 to $5 million. Now, above $5 million, I have capital raise strategic partners that I work with. We're working on a couple projects. One's $30 million, one's $1.5 million. So that is more where you're working with investor groups that are looking for your type of solution to invest in to help your business grow.
And let's get to the cash flow bit. So, peel the cover. What's the maybe you can do top three if it makes sense, but the top three. You come in. These are the top three things that are draining your cash flow today.
Gosh, vendor management, contract management is typically a big one. Procurement, supply chain is typically a big one. And then, let's see, if they are big enough to have a sales team, a lot of times the sales team can be a profit pull out of the organization where they are incented by revenue and they are commissioned on revenue. However, after the direct and indirect costs are taken away from that revenue, a lot of times they're losing profit. They're actually losing money. If the sales team is not informed of what the profit margins have to be for them to be successful. And we find that a lot, that leadership is hesitant to share the profit margins with their sales team. So the sales team's going on the revenue numbers, and they may be dipping into the profit to close the deal. And then when you look at the columns, you identify the ones that are losing money. And I smile because I have an example in my mind of someone we worked with recently. We identified 133 of their customers that were literally losing money for them month after month. The worst offender was $110,000 a year was pulled out of the company. And that equated to $602,000 in lost revenue. We were able to remediate that and waterfall what worked very well, what was high profit, high margin. We then waterfalled that through their portfolio, and we're able to recover $3 million in business valuation for that business.
What do you think your best entrepreneurial trait is?
I would have to say seeing the potential and the capabilities in others and telling them. So often people have thoughts, dreams, and desires, but they don't have the courage to pursue them. But all they need is that little bit of validation from someone else. And I think everyone is guilty of that, where we all have, I'd really like to try that. But that's something I do is that I say, Thomas, you're very good at problem solving. Do you realize how much of a skill set that is? Do you see that? Is that something you're comfortable with? Do you enjoy doing that? Oh, yeah. You know what I do? I look at it like a puzzle and I really enjoy it. That's amazing. Have you ever thought of doing this and helping them level up? Whether they thought of it or not, now you're planting that seed. You're giving them that idea that now I want to think about what's next, not mired in where I am right now and afraid to move somewhere. Life is a risk. Business is a risk. Entrepreneurship is a risk. I look at risks as adventures and fun. Mm-hmm. If you're not taking risks, you're never going to know. You're never going to know the answer.